Hi, everybody. My name is Jordan Ostrop with Legalese Marketing, and this is Exhibit A Attorneys, where we interview attorneys and other experts across the country to talk about what it truly takes to be the Exhibit A of a successful attorney. Joining me today, a phenomenal guest who checks so many of those boxes, Gyis Tsakalakis, who wrote the funniest bio in that I cannot read it on Facebook. So Guy works at Attorney Sync. They do a lot of the stuff that we do, and I say that as a hopefully total compliment. No conflicts, not dicking people over left and right, but really trying to drive great value for attorneys. Today, we're going to talk about how do you define success in law, as well as how to stay successful. So, Guy, obviously, I summed up so much of your awesome experience and knowledge into a quick, one or two lines. So, fill us in on the rest.
No, that was basically it. No, I'm still a licensed attorney in Michigan. I'm actually on location in Chicago. You caught me in Chicago today. I'm actually on my first trip back to Chicago since the pandemic. So I'm glad to be back. I'm at my friend Ken Levinson's office downtown. But yeah, I was a Michigan attorney. Left practice to found Attorney Sync in 2008. And we help lawyers try to get results using communication technologies, the web, marketing, and I've been doing that now. Gosh, it seems like forever, but really glad to be here. And I love the stuff that you've been putting. I love this show, and we know we're in a lot of groups together, and really love your message. So, really honored to be here and have this chat with you today.
Thank you. And I believe Ken Levinson's coming on our show in a month or so.
I think Ken mentioned that, so he'll be a great guest. I can't use him as my recommended guest.
You still can. It's fine. He's not on yet.
Well, I recommend Ken.
There we go. All right, so we've got some of the comments coming in here on how to get in touch with Guy as well as Attorney Sync. As we get into defining success in law and how to stay successful, I want to talk about our previous episode that aired on Monday with Eric, who was nice enough to come on and talk to us about how you protect your brand. So from the attorney perspective, obviously you have the benefit of not only your specific brand, but also a lot of times your client's brand, especially if you're doing business law or something along those lines. So, but enough about that. Guy, take us away. I want to hear your story in more detail because I've listened to your podcast. I've seen you on so many other ones, but I want to connect all the dots here.
Well, it all started on a cold January night in 1979. We'll fast forward past that part. So I was a young attorney at a plaintiff's law firm in Southeast Michigan. It's like 2005, 2006-ish. And, conversations, hey, what should we be doing online? And I didn't have any idea. So at that time, went out and did the research. And, what I found was, I was like, I feel like there's an opportunity here to make this a business. I kind of always had this entrepreneurial bend. So my career as a lawyer is hardly a career. I was only practicing like a year or two. But the conversations that I was having with lawyers at the time there was a lot of opacity and charlatans, and there still are. But I kind of always thought, I was like, look, lawyers are my people, and we can probably provide some better service here. That was really the genesis. I partnered with a friend of mine from undergrad who had experience at another company. It was internet marketing for like at-home services, so like replacement windows. And it's funny because you think back to like 2007, and gosh, a lot's changed in search. But we really cut our teeth on search. Was our real bread and butter. But obviously we've expanded to more other channels. Social's huge now as well. Other kind of paid advertising. And then I found another business because I'm an idiot in 2013. That's an agency outside of legal. So I stay pretty active in the intersection of practice of law and other businesses and digital. But that's the short story. I was a trial attorney for a brief period of time. I always had an entrepreneurial bend. I was a computer science major before I switched to philosophy because in 1997 when I was a freshman in college, computer programming wasn't as awesome and as exciting as it has become. It was more like C programming in a dark room, and I was like, forget that. And so, I went to law school, started practicing, had a great mentor who's actually my offensive coordinator for my football team. Loved my experience there, but eventually decided to make it a full-time gig to give this entrepreneur thing a go. Here I am.
So you talked about getting into that marketing space and bringing in somebody from outside the legal industry. Kind of walk me through those initial connections or that initial conversations, because I think that that's really how all of this started. Like lawyers couldn't market for so long, and then eventually we could. And I still don't know that we've really figured out how to do it. So I'm always curious to hear those sort of origin stories where you take the best of non-legal and make it work in the legal space.
Yeah, my big thing, and this is, I feel like maybe I'm broken record because when I get on the spot about the like what works, like what is it that's working for lawyers, it's one of those, like, as much as things change, they still remain the same. And so I always talk about this, but it's like the thing that lawyers forget. A marketing person comes in and they're like, oh, we're going to buy some ads and we're going to put a media plan together and we're going to get you on video, but they forget that it's still a reputation and relationships business. And so it's not networking or reputation or the internet. It's both, right? It's like those conversations, those know, like, and trust conversations, those reputation relationship conversations that lawyers have known for before we were even allowed to market are the cornerstone of great practice. Those conversations aren't just happening online. I mean, look, we're able to sit here in different locations, online, video, publishing it across a bunch of platforms. That's the thing I always tell lawyers is to remember is like, it's about the people and the relationships behind the technology and the communication platforms and the marketing plans that matters the most, right? It's getting happy clients to sing your praises. It's staying connected. It's staying connected even after the representation's over. That's another one that always comes up. I'm like, what are you doing to stay in touch with people in your professional network? Oh, well, the representation's over. I don't talk to them anymore. It's like, there's an opportunity there. So that's really the theme for me is always come back. Remember the relationships. Remember it's people behind these profiles. It's people behind these platforms. It's people that you're advertising to. So as much bright shininess as comes out every new day, which I'm grateful for. It's amazing. The world is connected in a way that's like no ever before, but it's still about the people, and it's still about positioning yourself as an expert and all those things that we've known for forever that are the cornerstones of really effective legal marketing.
I wish we could have a friendly debate, but literally 20 minutes ago at lunch, I was commenting on how really everything we do is how to win friends and influence people just in the digital space. So
that's it. That's the whole show.
Yeah, and we're done. We solved it.
Yeah, no, but it's so important because lawyers get carried away. They get, whether they're sold this some kind of magical thing. There's no magic bullets. There's no magic bullets to relationships, right? It takes time. It takes effort. It takes empathy. That's another big thing too, is like, people will say like, what's your most, best marketing tip? Like, care about the people that you're serving, right? It goes a long way because it shows through in everything you do, whether it shows through in the way that you communicate, that you stay in touch, that you do follow-up, that you set up your automations, whatever it is, the more that you're making, Jack Nuno at Clear was always talking about client-centered experience. Like, it's so true though. And that's the thing I think we forget is with all this technology to remember that it's about their experience. It's about, making it easy for them, helping them understand the process. So many, regardless of your context, most people, like, they don't know a lot of lawyers. They don't have a lot of, they're hopefully not engaging with the legal system on a regular basis. If there's if they're in a family law context or an injury context or a bankruptcy context. And so making things easy, taking away the uncertainty and the fear, like, that's what great marketing is all about.
So along those lines, I mean, what have you learned as you've been doing this for the last, 14, 15 years, other than everything you just said is totally correct, was correct then, is correct now, will be correct? How have you seen any changes in there? And then after that, we're going to jump to these comments that we're getting, and then we'll circle back.
Yeah, the thing that, and I know because I always get the what's the one thing you should do, because there's all this stuff you can do, like what should you be doing? And the thing that I've been on this big kick of is, because I'm actually surprised that this is still needs to be said, but if you do nothing else online, it's Google My Business, in my opinion. It's free. And the reason I say that is because it's the brand search. So when people search on your name or your firm name, or if you're in a state where you can do a trade name, whatever your brand is, if just a friend or a family member, an acquaintance or whoever mentions your name, people are going to go look you up online, and the first thing they're going to see is that Google My Business thing, and that's the strongest piece of reputational evidence that you have in your arsenal, is to make sure you're sending people that have had great experiences with you to Google My Business. Get images up there. Google My Business, you can have testimonials. So you talk about tell your story through the videos in Google My Business, where it's permissible. Get clients to leave a video testimonial, obviously get their consent to publish that, but put that on Google My Business. You can answer frequently asked questions on Google My Business. You can have a call tracking number so you can measure the performance of your Google My Business campaign. You can put UTM parameters on your Google My Business campaign. You can actually track the keywords that people are using to find you, which can help inspire your content strategy. So Google My Business is such a powerful tool. And it's free. It just takes the time to go in there and claim the profile, add the information, and then monitor it through Search Console.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. Jay Ruane brought this up. It's steady demand local picks. I want to say it's like $50 a year. You get up to 10 seats. So it's a really good way to have multiple people on the team. And what it does is it just sends a text message, hey, it's time to upload a video. You send it back and it goes right up to Google My Business. So it's really nice to get a lot of your, more client-centric staff members or other attorneys up there, and then you could always have your marketing team come back in and add the big bells and whistles behind it. But at least you're getting that content up.
I absolutely love that, and again, it addresses such an issue that keeps coming up. Is like everyone's like, "Give me your best idea," and I'm like, "Ideas are a dime a dozen. Go execute. Like what you need to do. Go post the videos or the images." Be online, go meet somebody, go make a new connection, go comment on somebody's, what's the new thing on LinkedIn? Go comment, right? Comments have been there forever. Like there is no magic. Go build a relationship with someone by engaging with them and commenting on their topic. So I love that tip because that's usually where the ball gets dropped, right? Like I know what I need to do. I know I got to put my best foot forward online. I know I got to have my clients sing my praises. I know people want to get regular content from me. But I'm busy. I forget, go. So if you got things that can create reminders for your notifications, go do that. I think that's a huge opportunity there.
All right. So now I want to highlight the first comment that we got from Carlos Breezy. So I find myself texting my new clients a couple of times a week to see how they're doing. Is that okay to do? What are your thoughts?
So I always say meet your clients where they want to be. If your client wants to receive text messages from you, I think it's great. And that's the other thing too. Like when you're talking about designing these experiences, ask the questions. How do you prefer how do you prefer that I communicate with you? Do you want me to text message with you? Lawyers immediately go to, well, I got to check, like, is this even ethical? And of course there are privacy things to be thinking about, just like any type of technology. But from a marketing standpoint, from a client relationship standpoint, go respond and engage with your clients where they want to communicate. So if you can touch in by text message with your clients on a regular basis, what a great way to solidify that relationship. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, I know. And then Carlos shared the downside, obviously, clients think they can text you anytime. So I'm going to take what Gyis said and echo it. I mean, I look at it like a Venn diagram. So this is how they want to be communicated to. This is how you want to communicate with them. And hopefully, you've got those areas. I got small hands, but so be it.
Just like in the relationship.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, so I want to take a transition there into defining your success in law. So I want to start from that, mindset question, that big overarching type thing, and then we'll get into some tactics on it. When it comes to defining your success in law, what's your advice, guidance, tips, tricks, whatever?
Yeah, so I mean, first, like, what's the definition there? Like, I'm a big, as a lot of people are, E-Myth person, and so I'm going to use Gerber's definition of like fulfilling your primary aim. So, what's your big picture? What are the most important things to you in your life? What's your mission? Where do you want to be in 3, 5, 10 years? And then your firm should be built to help you realize that primary aim. So. The other thing I'm a huge fan of is Culture Blueprint. It's a book that is I'm blanking on the author's name, but a great book about doing a mission, vision, values exercise. Your firm should help you express your values in a professional context. And so for me, success is about building a firm that helps you meet your primary aim, that helps that you're aligned on with the people you're working with, both clients, partners, and internal team members people that are aligned on values, and that you're realizing this vision that you have for your practice, whether what gets you out of bed in the morning is to serve clients, whether it's to feed your family. But at the end, people talk a lot about purpose and stuff. I think it's awesome when there's alignment on all those things. When you're a fantastic practitioner, you're a great relationship person, you truly care about your clients, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of success there. But not everybody has that, right? Not everybody's as passionate about, some people are like, they went to law school because they thought it'd be a good career opportunity, but finding that definition for yourself of success and then designing a firm for that, that's really what success is all about. How do you get there? You got to learn what a P&L is. You got to learn the business aspects, because you can't just, you can't be pro bono and feed your family, right? You can be passionate about your clients, passionate about the work you do, but if you're not able to collect a fee that supports your lifestyle for your primary aim, then it's not going to be success. So that's kind of how I think about the success conversation.
Yeah, it's funny because I always tell people, just go watch the movie Soul.
Right.
Yeah, it's a Pixar movie. It's somewhat for kids, but
Wow.
really, that's what it is, right? You're finding that spark, you're finding that passion, and hopefully you can address that from an attorney perspective.
How amazing are those people that make those movies? I mean, that just to touch you in that way with an animated film, it's amazing. Yeah. Beautiful film. Highly recommend that. Love Soul.
So I find myself coming back to these three questions though. I always find it coming back to, how much do you want to work? What work do you want to be doing in that time that you are working, and how much money do you want to make? And then you sort of backtrack from those to figure out, like, okay, if I want to work 40 hours a week, and if my case takes 10 hours a time, what do I need to charge, to get those things lined up? Thoughts on that?
I'm acutely focused. I think it was your second question, is what do you want to do? Because you should be able to, you got to build design around sustainability. Some people might work 40 hours a week. Some people might be willing to work longer. I think that's an important question to ask. I think the money question, of course, is an important question to ask. But what do you like to do? This is the part that lawyers run into so much trouble with, because especially if you're a solo, you're just getting started, you got to do everything. That's just the way it is. But you should be designing your future firm where you do what you like to do. So, and we'll do the simple ones. The simple ones are, I love being a trial lawyer. I want to be in court. I want to try cases. Well, guess what? That means if you're going to spend 80% of your time being a trial lawyer, you got to have somebody else filling the other functions, using some EOS traction terminology, other functions of your business, whether that's marketing, whether that's administration, whether it's finance, whether it's management. And then on the other hand, there are some lawyers that are like, I'm actually a decent trial lawyer, but I'm really good at communicating with people and building relationships. And so then maybe you become that function. Then you got to have people that can actually be, work the cases and be the trial lawyer. And so to me, that second question, like, what is it that you really love to do? That's really got to be the cornerstone of how you design your role in your own practice.
And the amazing thing to me is, although your firm can serve the needs that you are trying to serve, you can still find your actual cog in that wheel that makes the most sense to you. Maybe it's doing the legal work, maybe it's running the business, maybe it's overseeing the marketing, whatever it is. And all those things get to you actually genuinely being able to help people through normally the worst part of their life. But with you doing the part that is your zone of genius, is the stuff that you're interested in, is what you want it to be, instead of you doing a million things that you are forced to do.
Exactly. And that's such a great point. And that's another thing that lawyers always miss, is that the harmony, the alignment, things like profitability, they're not, yes, of course, they're good for you as the business owner, but they're also good for your clients, because you're going to deliver a better service. You're going to deliver a better representation. If you aren't, have the anxiety of not having a profitable business, or not having the time to properly work their case. And so I think that's such an important point, that it's the harmony between your firm's success is good for your clients too.
And so I want to jump on that with a comment that Carlos had in response to your earlier response. So it says, I find it funny that he mentions that I helped 24 clients pro bono. My friend that's an attorney told me it was time to charge. So now I'm charging half of what others are charging, but I don't know how to take away the bad feeling of charging someone. I feel really bad. I want to start off with, you're doing a disservice to everybody else by not charging what you should be, because you are allowing yourself to genuinely take that many more cases for free, hire more staff, bring on more attorneys, and actually serve more people. I see you nodding, so I think you're with me on that.
Yeah, no, totally. And again, it's not sustainable. So even if you look at it in a microcosm and you say, look, this 24 people I helped, you can't do that forever. And so your ability to help more people, as you mentioned, is limited. And again, that's not to say like if you feel number one, you shouldn't feel bad about charging. Again, it's a business. Like, it's the business of law. And that's another thing that, I've been thinking back to my early days. People would tell me all the time, well, law's special. It's a profession, and it is special. And we do help people in their worst time of life and all of those things. But it's also a business. And, if you can't support yourself, if the practice doesn't support you, then you're not going to be able to do that for very long, unless you're independently wealthy and don't need to actually make any money, which is awesome if that's your situation. But that's the whole thing. You shouldn't feel bad about charging, because that's what enables you to actually deliver better service, get results for clients, and get results for your future clients.
Yeah, I think Craig Goldenfarb, I'm going to paraphrase it, but I'll get as close as I can, said something like, look, as an attorney, doing personal injury, serious cases, whatever, I can help 50, 100, maybe 200 people a year. But as the business owner of a 75-person firm, we can help 3, 4, 5,000 people a year. And I can make sure that our values are reflected on all those people. And I just thought that was such a great point of genuinely being like, it is your duty to be successful enough to be able to help as many people as you truly can.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. And again, I also you shouldn't. I don't think you should feel guilty about generating a fee for the expertise that you've invested in yourself. Right? You went to law school, you passed the bar, you've already made investments. Like, part of recouping the investment so that you can actually sustain your practice to help people is making money. Like, that's part of the capitalist world that we live in.
So in terms of that definition of success, through whatever lens they really go to, do you have a suggestion on like how frequently somebody reviews that definition to make sure it's still accurate, or to make sure they're closer to it?
Yeah, so I'm big on I mentioned traction and entrepreneur operating systems. So you'll hear me. I'll talk EOS all day, but the way that we look at it, so we have a vision traction organizer. And so I would encourage people to be looking at, the 10-year out, right? The 10 years out is like very hazy. You don't really know, but you've got big, the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goals. That's one lens to look at. Then you're like, okay, let's zoom in a little bit more. Then let's look at your 3-year plan. So 3 years out, you should have a little more clarity around it. You should have a little better picture about that. And then you have 1-year plan. And 1-year plan is extremely tactical. And so we review it quarterly. We're looking at our vision traction organizer every quarter and saying, how are we pacing to our 1-year plan? Is the 1-year plan need a date? I think if you're looking at things like that kind of level of reflection more than quarterly, you're probably a little bit too hyper focused on it. But quarterly and annually, those are the way that we look at it using the traction framework. And we adjust it, right? Every year you come up with a new 1-year plan. Every year you review your 3-year picture and your 10-year. I'm blanking on what the 10-year is, but 10 years way out there. But I think quarterly is a good assessment of like you're moving in the right direction. You get more familiar, you get more comfortable with it as your firm matures. Like the first couple of days, like you're obsessed about it, like every day, because there's a lot of unknown, and you don't know if you're going the right direction. You're spending time on the right things. You're spending money on the right things. But I think you can almost get the analysis paralysis if you get so focused on like every single day, am I doing the right thing? Set some goals, reflect on them, what worked, what didn't, and then look at it in the following quarter.
I love it. So we're talking Gerber on the E-Myth. We're talking Gino Wickman on traction. We're giving people we talked how to win friends and influence people. We're giving everybody a book list.
No, it's good, and that's the thing I love about this is that people come and whether they're a regular attendee of the show or they're just dropping in, you're not going to solve all these things watching a couple of guys talk about this in an hour. And so having those resources, like these are great follow-up resources, if you're an entrepreneurial lawyer, like these are great resources. Like they're kind of like the they're the curriculum for being able to start moving yourself forward. And so I think it's more valuable to just talk resources even sometimes than it's just even give my advice.
See, that's why I find myself so drawn to podcasts or other live shows, because you can get those little tidbits and you're doing it all in real time. So it's, not that any of this really changed because you're going back to know, like, and trust, but it's so crazy to see like the latest update to the LinkedIn algorithm or the newest feature on Instagram, while also backing it with these, tenets of a successful business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. And I think the other value is because, we live in this space. The other thing that we can help people and experience share on is, what we see working, right? It's the actual, like, we've done the test, we've done the experimenting, we've read this stuff. And so, again, I think that that's a tremendous value to be able to sit down and say, hey, these guys are doing this, like, what's actually working. And I'll tell you, it's for us, it's from a search context, one of the things that's always surprised me, and I think this is probably like I'm just poisoned from being a lawyer, is like, I'm always astonished by how many legal services consumers call directly from a Google My Business result listing with a tracking number without ever even clicking through. So what does that mean tactically? It means reviews, it means call tracking number, and it means filling out that Google My Business profile. But again, it's all free in terms of you don't pay for any of that stuff, but it's not free in terms of it takes time to build up that reputation, to build up those testimonials, to build up the content that's worth sharing, and to build those relationships.
Yeah. So we've got this vision of success in place. We've got the vision traction organizer. We've got the little bit of traction or the EOS stuff here. We're checking this. What do we do to stay successful? What do we do to hold ourselves accountable? What do we do to make sure we're actually acting these things out?
Yeah, accountability is so important. And so we call them accountability coaches, but they're basically people that they're not in my business, but we check in once a week, and when I put it on the accountability board, like, this is going to get done. And they ask me, hey, did you get it done? So that's like a simple one. Some of them, though, if it's not like another person, sometimes it's as simple as adding a notification on your phone. It's like just having some systems and processes in place to have some accountability in task management, right? So like as an agency, we track time, and we want to time's not necessarily a performance metric, but it's a great way to talk about productivity, because so many times, how many times do you find yourself, you're like, I didn't even realize I spent that much time on this, or I didn't realize that I forgot to do this thing. And so some kind of visible tracking device system, whether it's whether you build it into your practice management tool or your CRM tool, or you just have like we use Teamwork for project management, but just seeing that you're completing work and you're meeting deadlines, and you're meeting your agreements with yourself about the work you're going to do. That's so much of it, right? It's back to that thing. Like, everybody has all these amazing, like, time travel is an amazing idea. Show me how to execute time travel, right? Show me how to build the time machine. That's where the real value is.
Well, it's always amazing to me. You have like they're raising money. They've got the goals to build a new thing, or you've got like the Domino's pizza tracker, and just like watching the progress bar go over is so motivational to people, because like ultimately, I had this discussion with Moshe Amsel yesterday. I do things 3 times. ASAP, like it came in and I can knock it out now, when it's calendared, or never. Like, those are my 3 options on getting things done. And I think
accepting. Well, sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was going to say the acceptance of the things that are never going to get done. That's another important one, because we get overwhelmed by that, right? It's like, and it goes into that idea of saying no. Like, say no to the right things is so important. That's another big growing point, that you can't do everything for everybody all the time, and so being able to pick and focus on the things that that are important, that are priorities, and figuring out, in EOS parlance, that's rocks. But figuring out the priorities of your business and then going and executing on those, such a big part of the success picture.
Yeah, and that's well, I'll throw another book in here, Deep Work. So
Oh,
basically, you know,
love
when
deep work.
people have the to-do list, I always suggest them like, look, block off time to do your deep work, block off time to do the to-do list, organize your to-do list, and then the rest of the time, don't worry about it. Like, don't let the 9,000 things you want to get done weigh you down 99% of the time. Get those, 2 or 3 hours a week really dedicated to turning that into a to-done list.
The distractions are a success killer.
That being said, I screw around on Facebook all the time. It's great.
Well, it's because you blocked out time for it.
That's probably very accurate. And I have the and I love the crazy thing to me is technology keeps catching up to making this easier. So, you can set time limits by app on your phone. You can set times where apps will lock you out. I mean, you can really go in and do, limit yourself to 30 minutes a day on Facebook, or have Facebook not be available for you from 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are. It's amazing to me that we've given ourselves these tips, hacks, I don't know, ways to really make it work.
And being intentional, excuse me, with the time that you're there, right? So there's a big difference between just, doom scrolling and engaging with other people that you can start to build a relationship with. Like, those are two totally different tasks that you can do on the same app, you can do on the same platform. But one is I think, has a lot more value. And the other one, you probably should stop doing altogether because it's bad for your mental health. We could talk about social media as a mental health issue all day as well. But if you are going to carve time out for it, be intentional about the time that you're going to spend, engage other people. I mean, that's the thing. If you're not comfortable posting, if you don't have a lot of content, your content is comments, engagement with other people where you can add value to the conversation. Like, that's how do you think know, like, and trust is built these days? That's it right there.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me on a lot of these platforms, you will do so much better with the engagement out than with the content in. I mean, Facebook has too much content. LinkedIn probably still needs more content, but it's getting there. So like you commenting on, the post for Gary Vee or some other thought leader or influencer might get you so much more exposure in your ideal market with your ideal clients than you spending twice as much time to put together some really nice posts yourself.
That's another good point, because this one comes up all the time. People are like, well, I'm a small town lawyer, or I'm just getting started. Like, I don't have a big following. But that's the thing. You can take all of those learnings, all the Gary Vee stuff, all the engagement stuff, and just zoom it down to your local community. So, instead of trying to get featured in like the Wall Street Journal or New York Times, build a relationship with a local journalist who covers stuff in your local community. Go get active with the local nonprofits. Go take on speaking engagements with local high schools and local elementary schools. Go get active in youth organizations or whatever it is that you're passionate about. Find those affinity audiences in your local groups, and then go and connect with those people. You don't need, it's not about the size of your audience. It's about the quality of those connections. So much more important. So people get overwhelmed. Like, lawyers all the time talk to me. They're like, I'll use an example of some lawyer who's got like high profile, and they'll be like, I can't do that because I'm not that lawyer. And I'm like, but you can do it on a small scale, and the connectivity that you have there and the engagement you get is so much more valuable. Give me, 10 really solid people that I'm connected with than 100 people that might, I might show up in their feed, but there's no stickiness there. There's no relationship. There's no connection.
Yeah, it's such a great point, because I know obviously, you get that FOMO or whatnot where it's like, oh, so-and-so got featured in Forbes. Like, that's awesome. But I guarantee you, if you're a, personal injury attorney in a rural county, being featured in the local paper or being on the local news is going to have so much more of an impact to your bottom line than some, New York Times write-up or whatever it's going to be.
Exactly. And that's another, goes back to the beginning of our conversation, which is, it's this traditional marketing 101 stuff. Be where your audience is, and where they want to connect with you. Like, it's just vanity stuff. It's ego and vanity if you're in that situation serving that small community, to get featured in the New York Times. It makes you feel good, and some people might be impressed by it, but the day-to-day in that context, it's not going to matter as much. It's going to matter much more of like, do they feel like you're approachable, that they can share this experience they're dealing with, that you care about them, that they can trust you. Like, that's going to make a much bigger difference than whether or not you were featured in New York Times or in Forbes.
So any other tips, wisdom, et cetera, on that, staying successful that you want to make sure we share with the audience?
Yeah, I think this is like the buzzwords of the times, but it's a particularly valuable, I think, as we're still coming, we're opening back up. But it's a concept that's been with us forever, and that's this idea of gratitude and empathy. Everything you do should reflect that you're grateful that you're able to help the people that you're helping, that you truly do care about them, whether it's an email message that you're sending, whether it's how you're interacting on a phone call or responding to a review or your website copy. Again, not about you, it's about them. What can you do to convey that you truly care about that audience, that you're grateful that you have their attention? That's got to come through in everything that you do. And we know, we have a lot of mutual friends too. The lawyers that are able to do that, they're the ones who are able to grow those really successful practices that stand the test of time.
Yeah, and it's so easy. Like if you take those two attorney ads and it's like, I got so and so a bunch of money for their thing, and then it's, this is Susie. Susie got into an accident and I got Susie less money than on this ad, but this is how it impacted her life. Like that's going to be so much more engaging, so much more memorable, and every other attorney isn't going to be like, what a D-bag to the one who's highlighting Susie, as opposed to like, I got another win.
Well, and that's the thing, it's when you're in the personal injury context, you can go to a half dozen law firm websites right now, and most of them are going to have settlements and verdict numbers on them. So guess what happens? Now you're just like everybody else. If you have Susie, what if you come to the website and it's Susie herself saying, this firm helped me through the most difficult thing in my life. They helped me they helped me find the care that I need. They helped me set me up financially. They kept me posted throughout the process. Again, who's going to stand out? And the other thing is, Susie is not copyable, right? You can't copy Susie from a marketing standpoint because Susie's Susie. The verdicts and the dollars, everybody's doing that. So that's not going to help you stand out. And again, we could debate the whole verdict thing and settlement thing and the expectations that sets and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even saying don't do that, but if you want to stand out, Susie's what helps you stand out, not the dollar signs.
That would be the most amazing conspiracy theory ever, right? If there was like 20 firms that like pooled client testimonials and suddenly like it got out that
yeah, and if they didn't represent them, it would probably be a pretty easy ethics violation there too.
Oh, absolutely. So along those lines, or changing gears, I don't know. We're talking about this gratitude, being grateful. I think part of this staying successful though is having those moments to stop and smell the roses, to really be able to appreciate your success or your path down success as it's happening. What sort of guidance do you have for people in that respect?
For me, and again, I hate to keep going back to EOS, but it's just so top of mind for me right now. It's let's put some of these concepts together. Block out time to actually reflect. Whether it's just a few minutes or an hour a week to sit back and have some exercises of gratitude. Why am I doing this? What makes me happy? I mean, this is even something you can apply this in your personal life. We talk about this with my family all the time. Like you're sitting down. Hey, what's everybody grateful for this week? You can do that at work too. Do it with your team. That's when we do our weekly team check-in at Attorney Sync. First question we ask is, what are you grateful for? And it can be a lot of things. But you really get to know somebody a lot better when you start to understand like what it is that they are actually truly grateful for. And it's not a motivational poster on the wall. It's not like, hashtag gratitude. It's really like, what is it that you're truly grateful for? I'd reflect on that on at least a weekly basis, and it really helps you clarify where you're headed. It helps you solidify your vision for your firm, for your life, and it also helps you be a better lawyer because those exercises in gratitude, like it reminds you why you're doing what you're doing. Because let's face it, not everything's rainbows and unicorns. Like there's plenty of things that we do in the practice of law that you'd rather not be doing. But if you have that foundational gratitude in place and you have that, you're recognizing that on a regular basis, it makes getting through that much easier.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have always been life work. Well, not always been life work balance since my kid's been born. And I hate being a hypocrite. So we've always tried to push a lot of that to the staff. And I remember it wasn't that question, but something similar. And somebody was like, oh yeah, you guys let me leave like 10 minutes early so I can make sure I made it to my kid's recital or whatever it was. And I'm sitting here like, I'm amazed that had such an impact, but I guess like that's not common. So that being good to other people and hearing what they're grateful for will let you realize what truly impacts people.
Right, and you know that's true, and it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it's like a sad indictment on us that that is so remarkable, that a nice gesture like that is so rare. But the positive side of that sword is like that's a huge competitive advantage for A, winning new business, and B, for attracting great people on your team, because again, if you're going to do anything besides be a solo, you're going to have team members, and getting the right people in the right seats on your team is so important. And so the good news is that just, you know, small gestures of gratitude and empathy can go such a long way to solidifying those relationships across your professional life and your personal life.
Absolutely. I also like the idea of group incentivization. So, you know, if you've got that larger team, you know, create your monthly revenue goal or sign up goal or whatever it's going to be, and then have the team vote on, you know, an event. Well, I guess, assuming you're okay with COVID, or at least wait another couple months, something like that, come up with an event that you can all go and get together. Like we did the Museum of Illusion last week, briefly. I think that was last Friday, because we hit, you know, some of the numbers that we were tracking. And then it gave us an opportunity to really enjoy that success, because we were out of the office, we were doing a fun event, we were together as a team, et cetera, along those lines. So I really like those.
And your team participated in deciding what it was going to be. That's the other thing too, is getting team opt-in and buy-in, making things more where you can. And it's not going to be, businesses aren't going to be pure democracies, but where you can get that feedback and input from team members, where you can get that feedback. You know, we talk about feedback loops with clients all the time. Getting feedback loops from clients that's the best way to improve your service, because you're actually listening to what it is that they're looking for. And then designing around that. It's a good work practice. It's good personal practice. It's good for relationships with clients too.
So anything else you want to make sure we cover as we get towards the end here, in terms of defining success, staying successful, appreciating the success?
I'm on this kick of execution right now. So, you know, I think we shared a lot of great resources, a lot of great ideas, some foundational concepts. Hold yourself accountable to doing one thing every single day. Make that priority, even if it's like a minute or two here or there. Invest one thing in a relationship or demonstrating your reputation, one little thing every single day. We're very busy, you know, but the practice itself, you go head down. It's, you know, obviously if that's your role, it's going to take up a lot of your time, but spend a little bit of time thinking about, you know, building a relationship, demonstrating something that you're knowledgeable about, positioning yourself a little bit every day, and it builds up. Those small investments really do build up over the long run.
And you know what the synonym for those things are? Traction. It really comes down to it. Or what?
I was going to say smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, but I like traction better. So.
All right. So our next episode is going to air on Monday. Jacqueline Foster is going to be on. She's going to talk to us about legal staffing strategy, an innovative approach for profitability and growth. So this will highlight exactly what Guy and I are talking about today in terms of growing that team and how you do that in a way that is profitable instead of just growing to be not profitable, which I hope nobody wants to do. But we'll do that on Monday, 1:30 Eastern time, right back here on Facebook. But before I let you go, if somebody's been listening to this for the last, I don't know, about 45 minutes, and they remember nothing else that you said, they take nothing away except what you're going to share here. It can be something that we've already talked about. It can be something totally different. But what is your biggest piece of advice for how somebody can be the exhibit A of a successful attorney?
Focus on relationships. It really is. It's a relationship business. You don't sell widgets. Go build those relationships. Go socialize. If you're not the person at your firm to do it, then go delegate that to somebody else. But your practice of success is going to be based primarily on your reputation and the relationships that you're able to build, and then to spread that word. And you've got all these great tools, fancy, shiny objects to spread those tools. Go forth and spread the word.
And just to be clear, to echo that, to highlight that, to put a finer point on it, it's not just clients. It's not just referral sources. It's resources for clients. It's people who have great connections. It's people who can help your clients. It's, you know, people that can help you be happy, you know, whether that's related to business or not. all of those relationships are, potentially equally important depending upon where you are in that time versus money conundrum. But like my wife connected with a car broker just randomly and not even thinking about it. But then 3 weeks later, realizing we had like 15 clients who had car accidents and now needed a new vehicle, and we're getting screwed around on property damage or whatnot. And now this is a person who's never sent us a case, but been an amazing resource for so many clients who have raved and raved and raved about that, little extra, just because she was open to the connection and seeing, how it might make sense, and like the guy and hit it off. And now he's helped a bunch of our clients.
And that's the thing that people are going to remember. That's what's going to be the remarkable thing that they're going to remember. And so what a great example.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Jordan, thanks so much for having me. Had a blast.
Before I let you go, We've got all of your contact info, but where else can people hear more from you? Can you talk about the podcast and show that you've got?
Sure. Yeah, we do Lunch Hour Legal Marketing on the Legal Talk Network. I've got a clienting podcast I'm rebooting, but we're kind of in the works right now. I'm pretty active on Twitter and LinkedIn. If you just start typing GYITSA, I usually come up because my name's so unique. Or you can email me, gyi@attorneysync.com. I love talking about this stuff. So anybody's got follow-up questions, always happy to talk shop on it, or just make a friend. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn.
There we go. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Jordan. Have a great day. See you around.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Exhibit A Attorneys. If you're interested in becoming the Exhibit A of a successful attorney, please check us out at legalesemarketing.com, EASE.